Was it an electric finish by the New York Knicks or just an epic collapse by the Houston Rockets? We'll talk that and so much more coming up next on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night, tipping off now.
You are Locked On NBA Game Night. My name is Gavin Schall. I am the host of the Locked On Knicks podcast. My partner in crime, as always, is Khahil. He is the host of the team that will not be named that continues to embarrass the New York Knicks and possibly run them out of the NBA at some point if some Knicks fans have their way. I don't know. He's Khahil. He does a great job over at Locked On Pistons. And we are Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night. Incredibly excited to be with you for this one. We are talking the Knicks bouncing back from an embarrassing defeat against the Pistons with an electric out fourth quarter where they outscored the Houston Rockets 30-12. We're going to talk about some of the lineups the Knicks used to close that game, how that made a big difference. And then we're going to get into the Suns, a miraculous double overtime victory over the Orlando Magic. No Devin Booker. Dylan Brooks breaks his hand. They are still able to outlast a shorthanded Magic squad. And we're going to bounce around the entire NBA, including another big night for Victor Wembanyama, a big second half for the New Orleans Pelicans, and a whole lot more. But before we get into all that, we got to remind everyone that today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y cakey flavor. Caffeinated kick and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, Koo, I'm going to present to you a binary question that takes all nuance out of the conversation. Feel free to add some back in. Was this Knicks-Rockets game more about Houston just completely collapsing or the New York Knicks finding something in this fourth quarter and putting them away with a dominant final 12 minutes?
Yeah, that game was crazy. I'm going to go with it was a straight-up Houston collapse. It felt like Houston didn't want to win the game. Like it was crazy what happened in that fourth quarter. I believe going into that fourth, they were talking about it a lot on the broadcast that I think the Houston only turned the ball over 3 times heading into the fourth quarter, and I think turned it over 10 times in the fourth alone. It was just mind-boggling turnovers. They went for 7 minutes without scoring. It wasn't like they were just throwing the ball away. It was a bunch of really bad decisions back to back to back to back. And they had an 18-point lead in the fourth. You usually expect to come away with those. Now, obviously, in order to throw a game away, the other team has to take advantage of it. So obviously the Knicks did things to take advantage of it. Jalen Brunson with some big time shots down the stretch. I actually thought Cat did a good job of really starting that comeback. He was really aggressive. Actually, there was a moment I saw that he was kind of going at Jalen Brunson like, hey, I want the ball. Give me the ball over here. So I actually thought that was cool to see. So Knicks definitely played well and earned it, but I don't know what happened. Houston was playing so well going into the fourth, and then every single person had a. KD went to a crossover, dribbled it off his hand, went out of bounds on the sideline. Sengun threw the ball straight to the Knicks 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Amen had an offensive foul, then KD had an offensive foul. Like it was everybody just kept turning the ball over. If it wasn't for Atari Eason shot clock buzzer beating fadeaway jumper in the mid range, they would have ended the game. I think 2 points in the final 8 minutes of this game. So it was, I don't know what happened to Houston. They were playing so well, but they completely self-destructed.
I'm the Knicks guy. I'm supposed to come on here and say hey man, this was the turning point. They're going to save their season. It was a great close for the Knicks. We'll talk about it. I think this was more about what the Houston Rockets could not do at the end of this game. And you highlighted it, but it was in such stark contrast to the third quarter, right? Knicks were up by 13 points early in this game. Rockets outplay them in the second. They take the lead going to halftime. And the third was I don't watch a ton of Houston. I'd love to hear from Jackson Gatlin on this. Check him out on Locked On Rockets. But it was about as well as I've seen their offense function since Steven Adams got hurt. They did a great job playing out of the KD blitz. You saw Sengun find his spots, right? He hits a tough fadeaway immediately after, blocks Josh Hart, pushes up the floor, hits KD for a 3. Those two have at times played really well together, at times struggled to find synergy. So that was a good moment. And then you saw Houston just the exact inverse of what happened in the fourth quarter, right? They start this just relentless downhill attack where in almost a straight sequence, Tari able to go right at Jalen Brunson for a layup. Jabari drives for a layup. Amen defensive rebound, push, layup, KD drive, and one flip shot, KD 3. At that point, they're up by 13. Amen Thompson strips Jalen Brunson, gets a run out. They're up by 15. They got up by 21 early in the fourth quarter, and it took all of 4 minutes for the Knicks to cut that deficit to 6. You give, we've said his name a bunch already, but you give Jose Alvarado, I think, a whole lot of credit for that. Like his energy, his defense were absolute game changers for the Knicks, as they've been a couple of times now since the Knicks acquired him for the Pelicans. I mean, down the stretch of this game, such a gutsy play where he leaves Amen Thompson, and this honestly was emblematic of the Rockets disconnect, that KD doesn't see this. Like, he leaves Amen Thompson literally wide open under the basket, and Alvarado just shoots in, pokes the ball away from KD, goes the other way, tough layup over Eason, and then that steal you talked about. And that was the Knicks, like, leveraging the fact that like you can kind of ignore Amen Thompson at times, and like Cat, who I thought also had an excellent defensive game for the most part in this one, shuts down Şengün on the drive. Sham, it's like, all right, it's Amen Thompson in the dunker spot. Brunson will rotate. He comes over, doubles Şengün. Şengün has to throw that prayer that Alvarado anticipates, steals. Knicks are able to push the other way. You said it, Brunson, ridiculous down the stretch. After he doesn't hit his first field goal of this game until about the 4:30 mark of the third quarter. Like the Rockets were just relentlessly blitzing him, asking anyone else to beat them. Hezzy drive right by Eason, reverse layup to tie to 103. And it probably should have been an and one. Like Eason like stripped at him, like went for his hip. Brunson was clearly like trying to bait the foul. I think the refs, it would have been one of those plays where if you missed, they would have blown the whistle. He hits it. And then Houston just, you said it, nothing down the stretch. You mentioned the play where KD just lost it. But before that, the strip by Alvarado. And then in transition, he has Amen wide open for a dunk and just doesn't throw it. And instead, Brunson takes yet another charge. And then KD misses the final shot. Like, this was like, look, he's been their entire offense at times. I think Houston would legitimately put up like 90s offensive numbers. I say that both in terms of the decade and the total points they'd score if they did not have Kevin Durant this year. But my goodness, was he poor at the finish of this game.
Yeah, I was just about to say it. Like earlier, I said everyone shares a piece of this blame. I mean, look, of all the turnovers that happened down the stretch of this game, KD had 3, Dorian Finney-Smith had 2, Şengün had 2, Amen had 1, and then Tari Eason had 1. I've seen KD go back and forth with Houston fans actually about this. And like you said, for the most part this year, he's been absolutely fantastic. And without him, I don't know what their offense would be. So you don't want to go at him too much. But a lot of the things I've seen him go back and forth with Houston fans on Twitter about is about his passing. And I, like you mentioned, that people are going to, there's other players that need to do some more, but I really feel like KD let them down bad in this one. Like KD, not only did I feel like he took some really tough shots, like you mentioned, he had guys wide open, like multiple times, and just turned the ball over or just missed them. Like the fast break one when he get the offensive foul with Amen's literally wide open right next to him. I don't know why he didn't give him the ball. He gets the offensive foul. The Jose Alvarado one, like you mentioned, Amen cuts down from the right corner. Alvarado doesn't even go with them. He just runs straight to KD. He could just simply do it behind his head to Amen, and it would have been like, there was a few plays here from KD where, look, he's been their whole offense, and for the majority of this season, he's come through from. KD's one of the all-time greats. But this was really bad process. A lot. I don't want to let Şengün off either. I thought he took some really poor shots as well, and really just felt out of sorts once the crowd really got into it. And midway through the fourth, I felt like Şengün was affected from it. But KD's supposed to be the savior for him. He goes 2 of 7 with 3 really bad turnovers, some really bad processing reads that he missed. That was rough.
Şengün's generally been a little underwhelming for me this year. I mean, I'm surprised him. Like, you would think him and KD in some ways match made in heaven, and it just hasn't totally clicked yet. 16 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, but 6 turnovers obviously loom large. Did have 3 blocks in this game. Houston does not get a lot from their bench, only 16 points from their bench, despite a pretty nice effort from Reed Shepherd. Two things on the Knicks I want to point out before we wrap this up. Cat, obviously a lot of frustration from that Pistons game. It feels like I don't even know where we're at with like the crazy Cat quotes. I don't know how much the national audience is keeping up with it relative to the local audience in New York, but he said something like, he was asked about his involvement, and he's like, the offense is the offense. I can't do anything about it. And he clearly bears some blame. Mike Brown bears some blame. Jalen Brunson bears some blame. It is tricky to parse out the blame with Cat because just a lot has gone wrong this year. But I thought this was such a great bounce back from him. 25 points, 10 of 15 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, 7 rebounds. You said it. Showed some attitude, and I thought just massively impactful play in the fourth quarter. And I thought it was no coincidence that it was when Mike Brown, after essentially not like the 5 possessions he did against the Pistons, it looked good, and then he never went back to it. He actually played 5 out. Like the Knicks closed the bulk of this game, right? Brunson, Alvarado, Shamet, OG, Cat, and that actually gave Cat room to operate. And you saw him, like, instead of when Josh Hart is in and Houston or the Pistons or any team can just double him in the post without consequence, he was able to get to work in the post, had the like nasty reverse drop step on Tari Eason for a jump hook, and then another one where he tried the same thing, missed, got the offensive rebound, pump fake pass to the corner to Brunson, freezes the defense, then hook pass to OG for a dunk. It was raining jumpers, hit a few transition threes, was running really well in the first half. Again, I thought his defense was good, had some nice help on KD at different points in this game. Really, really complete game for Karl Anthony Towns. And maybe the Knicks found something by actually willing to commit to play 5 out around him and leverage his strengths. For those of you who don't know, I talk about this a lot on my podcast. Who knows? But anyways, this was not the only great game tonight. Man, oh man, just right across the street from me, epic one between the Suns and the Magic. We'll talk about that next right here on Locked On NBA Game Night. But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at DoorDash. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out, let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Those late night interviews hit and suddenly you need chips at midnight. Well, DoorDash is built exactly for that. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, and even a phone charger for the friend who's always at 2%. That might be me. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. And we also want to remind you, if you want even more of your favorite Locked On shows, be sure to check out the Everydayer Club. You can get Locked On Knicks, Locked On Pistons, Locked On NBA ad-free with the Everydayer Club, plus members-only Discord access. All you have to do to join is head over to LockedOnPodcast.com/Everydayer Club and check the show notes for more. All right, Koo, let's keep it rolling. I said it. It's not the only great game tonight. The Phoenix Suns big-time win in double OT. We head over to Ben Garcia in Phoenix, who I believe was at the game today, with his thoughts on the win.
The Orlando Magic 113-110 on a Jalen Green game winner. Benjamin Garcia Locked On Phoenix Suns. Let's talk about it. And let's start with our guy Jalen Green, who is a very polarizing player, not just since he's been here in Phoenix, but especially today, where you saw him hit the game-winning shot, and in the final 2 minutes, he was actually kind of awesome. But outside of that, Jalen Green was terrible. And if you're someone like myself who's been very skeptical about the acquisition of Jalen Green from the get-go, you kind of understood why today. Shot himself out of games, didn't get to the basket very efficiently, had one big bucket at the end of the game, and got his hands in some passing lanes late, and that kind of helped make it look a little bit better. But he's got to be a more efficient player, and you kind of saw some of that today. But again, game-winning shot, that's what people are going to remember. Outside of that, neither of these teams could hit water if they fell out of a boat. And if the Suns would have been playing any other team that looks like the Orlando Magic, that could hit any semblance of a jumper, they probably lose this game. I don't think this game actually says a lot about the Suns. I actually think it says more about the Orlando Magic, who lost to a team who made 40 shots out of 100-plus or so attempts. So the Suns win tonight, but it was an ugly win.
Jalen Green, 4 for 24 before in double OT, driving lefty layup through some heavy contact. And then, as Ben referenced, the game winner, he said in the postgame interview, was the first of his career. I don't know if he meant the NBA or his whole life, but crazy run to the corner, drain the three, big time shot by him. Do you agree? I saw you nodding, Koo, that this was more about the Magic collapsing than the Suns pulling this one out.
100%. I have to disagree with something you said earlier, Gavin. Earlier, you said we had another great game. This was not a great game. This was terrible.
I got to sell the product, man. Adam Silver's not doing well. Everyone's saying the league's dying. I got to keep it alive over here.
This game was terrible. Like, look at between Paolo Banchero and Jalen Green. how many shots? Jalen Green missed 20. Paolo Banchero missed 17. You missed 37 shots between two players. Paolo was 11 of 28. Jalen Green was 6 of 26. I don't care that he hit the game winner at the end. He played horrible in this game. Paolo he had better, I guess, a box score, but he looked just as bad. This was, again, Phoenix made it out, and great for Phoenix. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what Philip had to say about this, because this is a season that Orlando is supposed to be good. Now, I understand Franz is out, and I'm very high on Franz. I've said for a long time, I've felt a long time that he's their best player. But a lot of people think that Paolo was. And there was a lot of momentum, a lot of talk from Paolo going into the season. And he's had a tough year. And for them to lose a game like this to the Phoenix Suns, bro, like, the Phoenix Suns shot 40 of 117, and you lost the game. Like, I gotta hear what he has to say. I don't know how this happens. I don't know how you're a playoff team and you allow that to happen.
All right, cool. Open gym. Are you topping that 40 of 117?
Oh, 100%, easy.
All right, I just want to get you fired up. I'll hit the Suns real quick, and then we can hear from Philip, just because I want to do them justice. I hear you that this was ugly. I hear you that this was not a good win. I will note, no Devin Booker in this one. Hip injury out at least a week. They lose Jordan Goodwin at some point in this game. Dillon Brooks breaks his left hand. He is out, sidelined indefinitely, according to Shams Charania. That's maybe something we should circle back on, because that really hurts the Suns. I mean, you saw it, unfortunately, for the Pistons firsthand when he dropped 40 when Detroit came here a couple weeks ago. Looked like lefty Kobe Bryant in that one with some of the crazy shot makings. Efficiency's fallen off a little bit this month. Has been the worst of his season, and obviously, like, the Suns just need him, because the only other big wing on the roster is Ryan Dunn, who's not nearly the same offensive presence. But this Suns team, like, I do give them credit in the sense that, like, they have won so many games like this season, like top 10 in defensive rating this year, just incredibly scrappy, continue to fight. Grayson Allen was not particularly efficient either, and he had some terrible mistakes, including like not getting a shot off on the Suns' second to last possession of double OT, leaving Orlando 5 seconds, and then inexplicably leaving Javon Carter when Orlando needed a three to win it. But he also had huge plays, like at the end of like OT, in the first OT. He had like a driving layup and then hit a big three to give the Suns like a 5-point cushion throughout regulation. He's just been like a consistent creator for them with his ability to like torch closeouts, really creative finishes. Hit one at the second quarter buzzer after toasting Jonathan Isaac. You see someone like Colin Gillespie going on like a binge in the middle of the second quarter, deep three, blows by Isaac for a layup, ISO bump midi on Jalen Carter. And Green was mostly bad, but he hit some big plays this year. I only say this because it's rare that I can't say this. I talked to a source close to Jalen Green that may or may not live in my apartment building. And he was saying it's been a tough year for Jalen, understandably, right? New team for the first time in his career, doesn't have a definitive role, misses most of the year with 2 different hamstring injuries, long time getting in rhythm. I know this is a bad game. I think I agree with Ben's overall assessment, but just from a vibes perspective, like hitting a game winner, that can turn around a whole season. I hope it does for Jalen Green. He's such a talent, so it'd be cool to see him get going. Now we get to the bad stuff, and that is the Orlando Magic. Philip Rossman-Reich is the expert on the Orlando Magic. Let's hear what he has to say.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, as the Orlando Magic fall in double overtime, 113-110 on a Jalen Green three-pointer at the buzzer of double overtime. Just frankly wild game that felt like neither team really wanted to win, because neither team really had the offensive firepower to push forward. And that's been the problem for the Orlando Magic for a long time. Everybody knows the stat by now. Orlando has not been outside the bottom 10 in offensive rating since 2012, Dwight Howard's last season. And look, Orlando's sitting pretty in 17th place, 19th place, whatever it is right now. But when you look at this team, Paolo Banchero, for as well as he played in this game, and I think generally has been playing better over the last month or so, he isn't a player that's elevating the offense, and he's not a player that can necessarily carry the team. He did his best in this game, taking over the last 3 minutes, putting his fingerprints all over the game to get the Magic to overtime, helping them take a 5-point lead in the first overtime period. But at the end of the day, Orlando still can't shoot accurately enough. And once Desmond Bane fouled out of overtime, sparking a 7-0 run that gave the Suns the lead in the first overtime, once Desmond Bane fouled out, Orlando had no offensive options. They had no offensive weapons. No one besides Paolo who can get downhill. When we talk about the problems this Orlando Magic team has, yes, Franz Wagner's out. Yes, Jalen Suggs was out for this game. Yes, Desmond Bane fouled out early in overtime. When we talk about the problems with this team, it comes down to this. Do you trust Javon Carter, Tristan Da Silva, even Anthony Black to make decisions? The Magic's problem is they don't have enough offense. It's been that way for 15 years almost. And that's where the Magic sit. With their star not quite at star levels of offensive efficiency, they don't have a place they can turn to get reliable scoring. And eventually that's going to nick you against teams that play hard like Phoenix. That's going to nick you overall. And that's the problem with the Orlando Magic. Maybe that was always the problem. Maybe if things were working, that would still be the problem. But it's the problem, and it needs to be called out, identified, and spoken loudly until they can fix it in the offseason.
All right, I don't like the way Philip used Nick as a negative verb there. That hurt. I know what he meant. He was taking shots. All right, let's take one more break. We'll come back. We'll have some final thoughts on the Magic, and then 3 other games, including a big time performance from Victor Wembanyama. That next. But first, we got to tell you about our newest friends here at Locked On, some old friends too, over at 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. I've got my number 1 pick for the 5 Hour Energy draft. Drum roll, please. My number 1 pick is absolutely cherry. Bold cherry candy style flavor. Sweet with a light tart edge. Classic red fruit profile. Bright, punchy taste. Smooth and easy to recognize. Clean, slightly tangy flavor. But my dark horse pick is the strawberry banana. I've loved strawberry banana. Anyone who's had the strawberry banana Go-Gurts back in the day, those were fire. But so are the 5 Hour Energy strawberry banana flavor. It's a tropical delight with strawberry taste that goes in everything from smoothies and milkshakes to cakes and ice cream. Sweet strawberry flavor up front and a soft, mellow banana finish. It is a smooth, creamy fruit profile. It is just awesome. And 5 Hour Energy gives you the boost with 0 sugar. I love that. I'm trying to avoid some sugar. So find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. And we also want to tell you about our good friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast. Without the hassle, puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. I pulled up the Game Time app, I picked an upcoming game, and had tickets locked in within minutes. My favorite part, you see the all-in price up front. I love seeing the all-in price up front. No surprise fees at checkout. Almost nothing bothers me in life, like getting surprise fees at the end. You could be buying tickets for someone's birthday and saying, hey, we're going to try to get courtside or close to courtside. It could jump $400 when you get to the end on other sites. That doesn't happen on Game Time. Being able to see the view from your seat before buying makes the decision so incredibly easy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWN for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. All right, we're back. Koo, you had a mini rant, but you were getting fired up when Philip was talking. Any final big picture thoughts on this Orlando season? Where every time it's turning around, it feels like it's starting to go right. Someone gets hurt, someone misses a game. In this case, obviously, you said Franz was out. Jalen Suggs had back spasms. He was out again. Feels like this season is borderline cursed for the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have some. I mean, I've said this. I've been public about this, and I've talked with Philip actually about this as recently as last week. I think they have some very clear roster problems that they are going to have to address head on and just be brutally honest about, or they're going to continue to have these kind of issues. But we can't sit here and act like that injuries haven't completely, I don't want to say 100%, but injuries have killed them the last 2 years. Even if you have as many questions as I do about some of their players, you haven't even really gotten a large sample with them at all. Like last year, Paolo and Franz got hurt. Then again this year, Suggs. Paolo was hurt one time. Suggs got hurt, I think, multiple times. Franz got hurt. You go out and get Desmond Bane, you haven't been able to even see everyone together. I still think that some of these offensive issues that Philip was talking about would remain. The overall issue, I think, one of the biggest issues, they need better spacing, they need more shooters, they need all of that. But like he mentioned in the video, when you have as high of a usage guy like Paolo, and he's that poor of a shooter, and he's that poor of a efficient scorer, he's at the bottom of the league when it comes to large volume, efficient scorers. He's one of the worst in the league. You can't funnel that much usage to a guy who is taking as many shots as he is that can't hit the shots that he's taking. So the injuries have killed them. They probably would be better than they are right now if they weren't as hurt all the time. The chemistry definitely would help them out. But this offseason, I don't think the Orlando Magic front office can go in again and say, well, we were just hurt. Let's just run it back. We're going to be just wait till we're healthy. They need to have brutal, honest conversations about what do we need to change, and talk about changing the way maybe they play, talking with some of their players. Is that something that they would be willing to do? Or do they need to start pivoting into different directions? Because I feel like if they just run it back again in this offseason, especially if they don't make a head coaching change or anything, you're just going to, if you're healthier, sure, you might win a few more games, but these inherent issues that Philip was talking about, they're going to remain. Like, those are not going anywhere unless you change some things.
I agree with everything you said. Just one stat to emphasize your point that if healthy, this could have looked better. Their planned starting lineup: Suggs, Bane, Wagner, Paolo, Wendell Carter. Only 275 possessions all season, but in that, plus 13.4 net rating. That is obviously very good. 79th percentile for a lineup that has played that much. They've been really effective when they've had their starting five, but that is almost just on sheer talent and like the overwhelming fact that they just have like 4 or 5 really good players in that lineup. Just to circle back on this game, final point. Paolo was hyper inefficient. He made some big plays in this game, and some of that is probably just a function of having the ball a ton, but in the fourth, like, kind of drag them back in it, drive and lay, push up the court to get to his midi, and then last second whip the pass to Anthony Black, cutting for a dunk in overtime, had the step through lay, had the drop step jam to tie it. Like, he was relentless about getting the rim. I like the way he forced the issue. I like you. I don't really see him and Franz functioning together long term unless one of their jumpers like really turns around. And until that point, I'm picking Franz every single time. If there's any world where they could trade Paolo for Giannis, I would do that. We heard that talked about earlier this season. Desmond Bane continues to just be awesome. I mean, he was ridiculous in this game. Finishes, in February now, shooting 57% from the field, 47% from three, 88% from the line. Got it done every which way in this game, getting out transition early, attacking closeouts with pump and goes for floaters, driving through 3 guys in transition for layups, live dribble hook passes for 3, hit bombing his own threes off of screens. Like, the Suns had 0-0 answer for him when he was in this game. Finishes this one 34 points on just 18 shots, 5 of 9 from 3. He was incredible, and he's really picked it up of late after a super disappointing start. But let's bounce it over to a team that had a disappointing loss. The Philadelphia 76ers blow one against the Pelicans. We're up at halftime. Seemed like they were going to cruise. Pelicans outscore them 60-35 over the final 25 minutes. Let's hit up our guy, Jake Madison, NOLA Jake, the face of New Orleans, for his thoughts on this game.
Pelicans get a big win over the Philadelphia Sixers with a really unusual lineup. I'm Jake Madison, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. Can I interest you in DeAndre Jordan starting against Andre Drummond in the year of our Lord 2026? Because that's what happened in this game. But the Pelicans needing some size, needing to be able to control the glass a little bit, and it ended up working out as they beat the Philadelphia 76ers behind a very big second half performance. Saddiq Bey good in this one, Zion Williamson consistent as well, but it was also really Philly just going ice cold from 3 in this game, particularly at the end of the third quarter, in the fourth quarter. They couldn't make anything despite getting wide open looks. But hey, New Orleans will take what they can get. And I wouldn't be shocked if you see them experiment with a bigger kind of lineup. Zion at the 3 in this one, a little bit more going forward. I got more over at the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
Yeah, I thought I was having an aneurysm and got transported back to 2013. I mean, that Andre Drummond versus DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan was good. 15 rebounds, 4 blocks. He got up for like a crazy lefty lob early in this game. Really, really fun win for the Pelicans that, on one hand, do not have a lot to play for. They're not going to make the playoffs. On the other hand, they have no reason to lose because they traded away their draft picks. So you might as well have your fun games like this. Jordan Poole, who had been like Exodus previously, big second half, 23 points, 5 threes. He was great in this one. Saddiq Bey was just cooking during that third quarter run. Zion pushing in transition, getting the rim. Fun, balanced effort for the Pelicans.
Yeah, I mean, this lineup that they ran was definitely something. Philly got to be feeling a certain type of way losing to that one. Letting 400-year-old DeAndre Jordan get 15 rebounds definitely is not great. I guess from the Pels side, if anything, I've kind of tuned out of the Pels this season as they've gone. Things have went more and more south. If there's anything, the Zion, they kind of tested Zion a little bit more on ball. They've kind of taking the ball out of his hands a little bit to go to some of the younger guys, which it makes sense. But you saw a lot of that tonight, especially with the bigger lineup, and 21 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. It's there. Can a team trade for Zion this summer? He's actually been healthy this year. Maybe the Pelicans are going to get the worst outcome possible. That is, we have to wait through all these years of Zion being hurt. He finally gets himself in shape. Now the team's bad. We have to trade him, and the other team, whatever team gets to have the fruits of the labor of him finally being in shape and eating healthy. I don't know. Can someone do it? Because I want to see him play some good basketball.
Dude, give me him Aaron Gordon replacement on the Nuggets. Him and Jokic run together.
That would be insane.
I actually don't think that'd be a good trade for Denver unless Aaron Gordon's hamstring has disintegrated. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get the Sixers' perspective on this one from Mark Farzetta.
Struggles continue, especially in the third quarter, as they lose game 1 of their 3-game road trip to the New Orleans Pelicans, 126-111. They lose their 4th straight game. Second half was an abomination. Second half, they come out. They're up 8 points at the break. Then they let the Pelicans go on a massive run, outscoring them 40-26 in that third quarter. Then their struggles go into the fourth quarter as well, where they just can't hit a shot, shooting 3 for 24 from beyond the arc in the second half. They actually shot 41% from 3 in the first half, completely went away in the second. Then you saw Tyrese Maxey struggle as well, but he did finish the night with a game-high 27 points. Meanwhile, you saw Saddiq Bey, Jordan Poole, and Zion Williamson all get at least 20 points for the Pelicans. Sixers will look to snap this 4-game losing streak when they're right back at it for the second leg of this back-to-back. They take on the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota.
No Joel Embiid, no Paul George, no Jared McCain do their own making. No margin for error for the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's bounce to Miami, Memphis. Heat win this one 136-120. Obviously, Memphis, I think now have lost 11 of 14. They're actively trying to lose games. Not a lot to play for. Cool note in this window.
I can't wait to see what Joe says here.
I'm also curious about that. Hey, Gigi Jackson, career high 28 points. You might focus on that. But Andrew Wiggins was awesome in this game. 28 points in 29 minutes, 9 of 10 from the field, 4 of 4 from 3, 6 for 6 from the line. So close to a perfect game. Only had 1 turnover, and he hits 15,000 career points. And I want to take a second to recognize that a guy for so much of his career was discussed as a bust. Obviously, he did not live up to the Maple Jordan hype out of high school, but had that run with the Warriors where he was an absolutely essential piece in their title team, arguably like through that finals run, the second best player on that team that was really balanced. So hat tip to Andrew Wiggins, hat tip to the Heat for taking care of business. And now I won't delay it any longer. Cool. Let's go to Joe. Let's see what he has to say.
At least the Grizzlies are still fighting. Am I right? Right? Well, at least they're showing some fight. Just a little bit too much fight from Scottie Pippen Jr. against the Miami Heat in a loss on Saturday night in Miami. I'm Joe Mullinax of Locked On Grizzlies, and Scottie got tossed, and there's probably a suspension coming, and that's going to be the thing that gets the headlines. But as the Grizzlies tank rolls on, it's about Jalen Wells, right? Jalen Wells looking more comfortable, putting up some competitive numbers. It's about Gigi Jackson off the bench, 9 rebounds, leading the team in that category, a very efficient 28 points scored. Gigi looks the part of a guy that the Grizzlies can count on moving forward. And the wins and the losses, that really is irrelevant at this stage. The Grizzlies are going to lose far more often than they are going to win as the season progresses. It's about what young players look like they may be sticking around the next time the Grizzlies are actually good at basketball. Wells and Gigi Jackson look the part, at least in this game.
Cool, we're laughing and joking around, but Memphis, a far brighter future than most of the teams that are tanking right now. They have some definitive young talent. Cedric Howard, who's obviously had real flashes this season. They have a ton of picks going forward. So they're in a good spot. Have to figure out what to do with Ja Morant. Only other game of the night, Spurs beat the Kings by 17. Kings kept it close or got it close in the third quarter. Spurs run away, take a 28-point lead. Victor Wembanyama was amazing again, 28 points, bunch of rebounds, 3 blocks in the first 90 seconds. I'll leave it to you, man. Any thoughts on any of those 4 teams? Memphis, Miami, San Antonio, Sacramento to close this one out.
All I gotta say is, Joe, good luck, man. Just be happy that you guys were smart enough to move off of these players and get 7, 8 picks in return for Bane and JJJ.
Mm-hmm.
Now you may not get a single pick. You may have to give up one of those picks to move off of Ja this summer. Maybe that's going to be tough, but you did the best you could. Just ride this season out. It gets tough, man. Trust me, I've been through it.
They've had so many injuries. I'm excited to see Zach Edey healthy again because he was playing like he was a guy that I had no idea what he was going to look like in the NBA, and he's been playing some sick basketball when he's actually been out there. But that'll do it for Locked On NBA Game Night. He is Khahil of the Eastern Conference leading. You know what? I'm doing you guys an injustice. The NBA leading Detroit Pistons. 2 years ago, we had Darth Koo when they were losing 28 in a row. It is the best story in basketball. So if you want to follow it, check out Koo over on Locked On Pistons. If you want to follow the roller coaster that is the New York Knicks, check me out over on Locked On Knicks. But until next time, we'll talk to you very, very soon right here on Locked On NBA Game Night.